Imagine standing on top of a remote hill in eastern Turkey, gazing down at a massive boat-shaped formation part of the rugged terrain. This is the Durupanar site, a 515-foot-long geological structure that has captivated explorers and scholars alike. First identified in 1959 by Turkish Army Captain İlhan Durupanar, the formation's dimensions seem to align with the biblical description of Noah's Ark. A length of 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Genesis 6:15. At first, people thought it was a weird coincidence, but then sonar scans, radar imaging, and soil studies started revealing something much bigger. Is it possible that one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in history is already sitting right under our feet? Today, we're diving deep into the mystery, the discoveries, and the wild evidence that suggests maybe the Ark was never really lost. The hunt for Noah's Ark isn't some new craze, it's been going on for centuries. Ancient historians such as Josephus wrote about it. Medieval explorers claim to have seen the Ark's remains frozen in ice. And in the 20th century, adventurers, scientists, and even politicians launched full-scale expeditions to find it. The legend always pointed to the same spot, somewhere near the peaks of Mount Ararat, towering over eastern Turkey. According to tradition, after the floodwaters receded, Noah's Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. For many, that made Ararat the prime target, rugged, icy, and full of mystery. But even after dozens of dangerous climbs and expensive expeditions, nobody found anything solid. That is until 1959. An aerial photograph snapped during a military mapping project showed a weird boat-shaped figure sticking right out of the rocky hills, a few miles away from Ararat. And suddenly things changed. The strange formation spotted in 1959 would later be called the Durupinar site, named after the Turkish captain who first reported it. And even from the air, it looked eerie and strange. At about 515 feet long and 85 feet wide, the size of this boat-shaped outline matches the biblical description of Noah's Ark almost perfectly. According to the Bible, the Ark was about 300 cubits long, which scholars estimate to be around 450 to 515 feet. But the resemblance doesn't stop there either. The formation has a pointed bow, a rounded stern, and a gentle curve, just like you'd expect from a ship. Plus, unlike the surrounding rocks, the soil inside the formation was noticeably different. It was softer, looser, almost like it had been disturbed or, built by someone. All this caught the attention of a team that would go on to spend decades exploring it. Skeptics were quick to say it was just a freak of nature, a random landslide or some weird lava flow. But as technology advanced, researchers realized there might be a whole lot more hiding under the surface. For decades, the Durupanar site sat quietly, half forgotten, half debated. But in recent years, new technology has given researchers a whole new set of eyes, one that can see underground. Using ground-penetrating radar and sonar imaging, teams were able to scan below the surface without digging. And what they found? It's honestly mind-blowing. The scans revealed long, parallel lines like the ribs of a ship. There were regular rectangular shapes, which could indicate walls or rooms, and even right angles, something that almost never happens on its own in nature. Experts believe these patterns could show compartments inside the Ark, places where animals or supplies were stored. And it gets even crazier. Researchers found metallic signatures at key points along the formation, almost like metal rivets or fasteners holding massive beams together. If this was really just a rock formation, why would there be traces of metal exactly where you'd expect them to be on a ship? It's like the ground is revealing an ancient secret, and technology is finally helping us see it. It's not just high-tech scans that are making waves in this story. Researchers also got their hands dirty, literally. Soil samples taken from the site revealed some seriously unusual findings. First off, they found marine fossils, things like seashells and mollusks, up in the mountains, thousands of feet above sea level. These creatures normally live in deep water, so what were they doing here?
There have been found in the area around the site many sea life fossils and an abundance of sea coral that give evidence that this area was once underwater for a significant period of time. This would match the Genesis account of the Great Flood.
The only explanation seems to be that the area was once submerged, maybe even underwater during the Great Flood described in biblical stories. But it gets even more interesting. The soil contained clay deposits, materials typically formed by water, clay that could have only been laid down when there was massive flooding in the region. And there's more. Some of the samples contained organic material trapped inside ancient mud, maybe even remnants from the floodwaters themselves. The pieces of the puzzle are coming together. It's not just a strange rock formation. It's a site that suggests something big happened here. Very likely a flood. Fast forward to around 2000 and 2010, and the supposed Noah's Ark was getting a fresh new look. New teams of researchers equipped with better ground-penetrating radar and 3D imaging tech returned to the Durupanar site. What did they find? Even more reasons to be curious. The scans showed layered structures hidden beneath the rock, almost like decks stacked on top of each other, just like you'd expect in a massive ship. Researchers also reported finding petrified wood in the formation, wood that's been turned to stone over thousands of years. Some even claim to detect an iron grid running across parts of the site, hinting that ancient builders might have used metal tools. This matches the Bible's description of pitch and fittings. In fact, by 2019 and 2020, Turkish government officials revisited the Durupanar to reassess its significance. This brought speculations of possible official excavations, but bureaucracy, politics, and debate slowed things down. However, one thing is clear. Even decades after its discovery, Durupanar refuses to be forgotten. Whether it's a ship, a natural formation, or something else, what seems certain is that there's definitely something extraordinary hidden there. Beyond the arc-shaped formation, there are whispers of something just as intriguing, signs that Noah's family may have settled nearby. In the foothills near Durupanar, archaeologists have documented ancient burial sites and dwelling ruins dating back thousands of years. Some researchers suggest these could be the remains of a small, early community that once called this mountain home. One tomb in particular has drawn attention. Inside were unusual stone markers and symbols, which some interpret as early cultural or religious artifacts, not as proof, but as clues that this place held deep significance for ancient people. Local oral traditions passed down for generations describe the area as the resting place of a great patriarch's family, possibly even Noah's wife or children. There's no hard proof, but the combination of geography, local lore, and archaeological oddities raises a compelling possibility that the story of Noah didn't end with the Ark. It continued in these very hills. Of course, not everyone's convinced. The Durupanar site has sparked one of the biggest debates in modern archaeology. On one side, skeptics argue that the formation is just a natural phenomenon, the result of mud flows, lava flows, and erosion. They say that under the right conditions, nature can create almost anything, even something that looks like a giant ship. They argue that the formation could just be a result of geological quirks. Skeptics also point out that some of the metal readings could just be naturally occurring minerals, not ship components. But others push back hard. They argue that there are simply too many coincidences to ignore. The size, the shape, the internal structure, the fossils, the metal signals, it all lines up a little too perfectly.
While the evidence of human life from the era is significant, the researchers believe there's more to be learned. Some geologists argue that the Durupanar formation is a natural formation, not the petrified remains of an ark.
Some see the site as a miraculous piece of preserved history. Others view it as an incredible mystery that science hasn't fully explained yet. We may not know the full truth until some more research is done. Whether you believe the Durupanar site is Noah's Ark, or just a fascinating rock formation. One thing's for sure, it's captured the imagination of people around the world. It reminds us that there are still ancient mysteries hidden just beneath the surface, waiting for faith, technology, and persistence to bring them into the light. In a world obsessed with instant answers, Durupanar stands as a reminder that some stories, the really important ones, take time to uncover. Maybe the Ark is out there perfectly preserved, or maybe the real story is the endless human drive to search for the truth against all odds. One thing's for sure, the mountains are still holding their secrets. They may just be waiting for the right person, the right team, or the right moment to finally reveal what's hidden underneath. That's it for today's video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more amazing content.